Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. All right. Today I'm gonna speak on order of operation and context. I'm going to I guess beat the dead horse, I guess. Speak on the topics somewhat of that I've spoke on many times before, but then move it from there. But let's deal with some order of operations and context. Abiyah, thank you for the Shabbat. Thank you for this opportunity to come before those who are yours. Let me be a humble servant. Let me not be arrogant or I guess one that's picking at people when it comes to this word. Some of it sometimes I just don't get why people don't comprehend. And maybe I don't have the patience at the moment to get it, because at first I didn't get it. So I need to have a little more patience towards people and them possibly not getting it. Let your will be done. Let your servant move forward. Yada Yahuwah. So I'm gonna start off reading. I'll read a little bit. I'm gonna go to Genesis 1 and I'm gonna read and I'm gonna try to give some perspective. I don't mean to insult anybody, so that ain't what I'm trying to do. I just, hope that people could just comprehend a little bit. So let's go. It says, in the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. And the earth came to be formless and empty, and darkness was on the face of the deep. So people take that and say, oh, evenings first, because this is what we were taught, evenings first. But let's keep going. And the spirit of Elohim was moving on the face of the waters. Dawn. At dawn, it's dark, and the light begins to come. And Elohim, that's these are my words added in there. So and then it says, and Elohim said, let light come to be, and light came to be. So when you have dawn, the light comes to be. Trying to explain something, but maybe still people don't see it. And Elohim saw the light that it was good. And Elohim separated the light from the darkness. Look at the order. The light from the darkness, not the darkness from the light, but the light first from the darkness. And Elohim called the light day, which one, the order, day. And the darkness he called night. Light, then dark. The order of operations, not dark to light. Though we see it started off dark, the day starts, dawns. But the first thing that he points out is light. Saw the light that it was good, and Elohim separated the light from the darkness, and Elohim called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there came to be evening. So you have light, then dark. Came to be evening. Now let's see that. Came to be evening. And there came to be morning. So let's stop. Evening, we can say that's 6 p.m. And there came to be morning. Say that's 6 a.m. What period is occurring in between that evening and morning? Evening, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. is all night. And came to be morning. So the when morning comes, that's one day. That's the end of one day. Not at the end of morning, which would be another evening. No, when morning comes, one day. eve to morning. But stuff happened before it got to Eve. Eve, there came to be morning. It didn't say morning start, it came to be morning. So morning stopped, and that's the cap. One day. So after morning, we go into the next day. And Elohim said, let an expanse come to be in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters. So this is occurring after morning occurred. This is the second day. And Elohim made the expanse and separated the waters which were under the expanse from the waters which were above the expanse. And it came to be so. And Elohim called the expanse heavens, and there came to be evening. Okay, we started the second day at morning, and it came to be evenings. You got work that happened, and then it came to be evening. He didn't say, oh, that's the end of the day. And then there came to be morning. So at evening time, work stopped. But then you had a period between evening to morning again where no work was being done, but it still was a part of that cycle. Then it's right there, the second day. The second day. Morning again now. And that's the second day is done. And then here comes what goes forth after morning comes. Because we see came to be morning. What happens now? And Elohim said, let the waters under the heavens be gathered together. So work begins again. Together in one place, and let the dry land appear. And it came to be so. And Elohim called the dry land earth, and the collection of waters he called the seas. Notice in the order of operation, earth, then the seas. And Elohim saw it was good. And Elohim said, let the earth bring forth grass. So life came on earth, on the ground first, and the plant, and so this is before man. So you see that the vegetation and the food things came before man. Man requires these things to live. These things were put in place before man. I'm jumping ahead in the story and talking about man who has not even been presented to the story because you're seeing things that are put in order. He's put things, the provision for things in place before the thing comes about. Order of operation. Got to get the context. And Elohim called the dry land earth, and the collection of waters he called seas. And Elohim saw that it was good. And Elohim said, let the earth bring forth grass, and plant the yield seed, and the fruit tree that yields fruit according to its kind, whose seed is in itself on the earth. Excuse me. And it came to be so. And the earth brought forth grass, the plant that yields seed according to its kind, and the tree that yields fruit, whose seed is in itself according to its kind. And Elohim saw that it was good. And there came to be evening. So work occurred during the day or the light time. Then evening comes. And now here comes the night. Remember, he separated the light from the dark. So the day order from the night. So day, then night, and then here comes day again on a whole nother day. It says, and there came to be evening, and there came to be morning. That's the third day. Stuff happening after morning. Came to be evening. Evening be the split. And then the third day. And one of the things that most people should hear and just comprehend, what is 12 a.m.? Or what is midnight? It's the middle of night. So from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., what's in between that? What's the middle? Midnight. So all that period of time is night. Midnight. Let's keep going. And Elohim said, let lights come to be in the expanse, in the heavens to separate the day from the night. Again, that order of operation, the day from the night. And let them be for signs and appointed times, for days and years. And let them be for lights in the expanse of the heavens to give light on the earth. And it came to be so. So there was already light, but now he's setting up what we would say the sun and the moon. And Elohim made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, order of operations again, and the lesser light to rule the night and the stars. The order, day comes before night. And Elohim set them in the expanse of the heavens to give light on the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to separate the light from the darkness. And Elohim saw that it was good, and there came to be evening. So everything was happening again in the daytime. Now it's evening, and there came to be morning. Morning is the capstone, it's capping it off. And then that's the fourth day. It's not after morning starts, but when morning comes, boom, you got dawn, you got the darkness of evening fading out, and light becoming the start, and that becomes morning the whole next day. And Elohim said, let the waters teem with shoals of living beings. So we see the earth already got food on it, or things that would be food. Now you've seen the waters teem with shoals of living beings. Now you've seen the air, and let birds fly above the earth on the face of the expanse of the heavens. And Elohim created great sea creatures and every living being that moves, with which the waters teemed according to their kind, and every winged bird according to his kind. And Elohim saw that it was good. And Elohim favored them, saying, be fruitful and increase, and fill the waters in the seas, and let the birds increase in the earth. And there came to be again evening. Evening is not the stop. It's the stop of work, but it's not the stop of that day. And there came to be morning. Evening is the middle and not the start of a day. You have midnight. Midday is what? Noon. But the middle of the complete day is evening. Let me keep. And there came to be evening, and there came to be morning the fifth day. That period between evening and morning, no work is being done according to this narrative. Many of us now work third shift, so we say, oh, you work at night. But that was not the normal process. The light of the night does not give you the view of things to see everything. If you were to walk past a bush at night, you can't see every bug that's in there. You can probably hear them, but you can't see them all with night light. With the daylight, you can see everything that's there. Night light is not the same. If someone was selling something and they sold it in the day, they couldn't hide its defectiveness or its deficiencies. But at night, you're not seeing as clear. Unless you bring up a light, a fire or something to it, you're not seeing it clear. It would not ever be wise to buy something at night unless you have extra lighting. Back then, they didn't really have all that lighting. This is the beginning. The lighting was the luminaries in the sky, the sun, the moon, the stars. All right. And Elohim said, let the earth bring forth living being according to its kind, livestock and creeping creatures and beasts of the earth according to its kind. And it came to be so. And Elohim made the beasts of the earth according to its kind, livestock according to its kind, and all that creep on the earth according to its kind. And Elohim saw that it was good. So now you've seen the plants, the fish, the birds, and now the livestock. All these things were in place before man even touched the scene. So now we're going to that. And Elohim said, let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. Elohim being spirit, does he have a likeness or a visible image? Man is that. Man is the visible image of this spiritual master. Let us make man in our image according to our likeness, and let them rule, them, them rule over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the heavens. Look at the order: fish of the sea, over the birds of heaven, and over the livestock. Fish, birds, then livestock, and over all the earth, and over the creeping creatures that creep on the ground. And Elohim created the man in his image. In the image Elohim, he created him, male and female. He created them, male and female, which is first. There's more teachings out there than the Bible that says that the female is first. Female is the oldest. But according to this book we say we read and believe, male was first. And Elohim favored them, and Elohim said to them, be fruitful and increase, and fill the earth and subdue it, and rule over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the heavens, and over all the creeping creatures of the earth. And Elohim said, see, I have given you every plant that yields seed, which is on the first face of the earth, and every tree whose fruit yields seed to you is for food. So, order of operations, of course, food from the ground or things that come from seed, that was the first thing for food, way before we were eating meat, vegetation, fruits, vegetables, fruit, whichever order you want to say it. That was what we were eating before we started eating flesh. So there are many that, fixate on that and saying that's what we should eat most, or that's the only thing we should eat. And I do believe this is what we should eat most, but I don't ascribe to that. That's the only thing we're supposed to eat. If someone chooses to do that, I see no problem. But there are many that have problems with people who eat more than just this. And to every beast of the earth, and to every bird of the heavens, and to every creeping creature on the earth, in which there is living being, every green plant is for food. And it came to be so. So the animals were supposed to also eat of these fruits, vegetables, and stuff like that, not each and consume one another. That's how it started off. But we know that's not how it is today. And Elohim saw all that he had made, and see, it was very good. And there came to be evening, and there came to be morning. So evening occurred, and then there came to be morning, the sixth day. So we're more at morning time. Sixth day is done. The last very verse of Genesis shows that the end of the day is when morning started, the sixth day. But yet it's so hard for many to grasp anything other than evening to evening because this is what they were taught. Most of us who came from Christianity, the first thing that we were taught probably was the Sabbath day, and evening to evening was what we were taught. And so it's so hard to get unstuck from that. 6 day is done. When did it stop? Not at evening. If evening to evening is the day, then why did morning get mentioned? Because that's the capstone, morning. And the next day was going to start after morning. Order of operations and context. You have the best at the best out here that read in Hebrew and they still don't comprehend it. Yah did not tell us to disconnect our comprehension, to disconnect our brains and just go into autopilot. And when you challenge it, as I constantly challenge people from going in autopilot, you're seen as someone that's condescending, someone that's being sarcastic or being a little bit ugly with it. I'm not being ugly with it. I'm being truthful and saying that people are not dealing with the context. They're dealing with the traditions of men. This is what they were taught, and this is what they want to stay hold to. They don't want to let it go. And so you can't make them come up off of that. And I don't believe that the Ruach will push them from that. As long as they're not willing to learn, they won't learn. They'll stick to that. And you can put this information before them and ask them to study it. And most people really, they'll tell you they studied it and they don't because they I know what I know. If you knew what you knew, how did you now become an Israelite after being a Christian for so long? Because you knew what you knew, you would have never left Christianity if that was what you knew and you knew what you knew. As added information comes in, you have to be able to humble yourself and allow for yourself to grow. I'm one that also did evening to evening, and I can admit that I was in error and I was wrong. I've read the Bible from front to back multiple times, and yet I still missed it. It happens, but sometimes you need to slow down and just read and actually we're very intelligent people, so I'm not ever trying to mock your intelligence, but sometimes you need to stop and pay attention to what's there and not add to it and not go into autopilot. All right, let me continue with my order of operations because I've dealt with that part right there, but I got more that I want to deal with. All right. I'm still on this creation thing a little bit and with man, so let's go back to sharing my screen. Excuse me. All right. We're going over the Bereshit or Genesis 2, and I'm going to start here at verse 18, or what's called verse 18. And it says, And Yahuwah Elohim said, It is not good for man to be alone. I'm going to make a helper for him as his counterpart. So again, he created them, but who came first in the order of operations? Of course, there are many other writings that say woman came first, but we see that man was by himself. And from the ground, Yahuwah Elohim formed every beast of the field and every bird of the heavens and brought them to the man to see what he would call them. Not what she would call them, what he would call them. And whatever the man called each living being, that was his name. So the man gave names to all livestock, and to the birds of the heavens, and to every beast of the field. But for man there was not found a helper for him as his counterpart. So Yahuwah Elohim caused a deep sleep to fall on the man, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh in its place. And the rib which Yahuwah Elohim had taken from the man, he made into a woman. The area of a woman is usually called the womb, underneath the ribs. So from this man, his rib, he made a womb man, a woman. And he brought her to the man. And the man said, "This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. This one is called woman because she was taken out of man." She was taken out of his rib area or womb area. And that's where now babies are born in the womb area, from the womb. For this cause, a man shall leave his father. Adam and Eve were supposedly the first. So this is setting a precedent right here. Shall leave his father and mother, not mother and father and mother. The household is supposed to be father, then the mother. The order of operation, the headship in the household. Yah, you can put Yahusha right there. Then, but man, then his wife, then the children. But when those children come to adulthood, they should find that the man, the male child, should find his other wife, or the female child should be found by her husband. And for this cause, man shall leave his father. So they should leave the house of the father and the mother and cleave, the man should cleave to his wife. They shall become one flesh. See so many narratives out there that said, hey, if you got to save your wife or your mother, who do you save? The biblical narratives, we honor our father and mother, but the biblical narrative says my wife's supposed to come first. Most people, oh no, no, I would never. I can find me another wife. We don't put a value on marriage nowadays because, it's become a temporal thing, with all this divorce and stuff like that. But we have not treated this union the way that Yah sees it. This union is so important that you are supposed to basically cleave to the person that you're in union with and separate yourself from your parents. Not separate far as cut them off or whatever, but the priority is no longer them, but it's the union that you have attached yourself to. That union is more important than even the children, the offspring that are born to that union. Order of operations. Yes, the parents came first, but now when you cleave to your spouse, that becomes your first order of operations. You honor your father and mother as long as you're not cleaved to someone else. But once you cleave to someone else, that is number one. Of course, Yah comes first, but that's number one. Your relationship on earth, that's number one. Above your friendships, above your relationship with your children, your spouse. For this cause, a man shall leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. Are they one being? No, but their flesh unite. They are supposed to be one on accord, one in thinking, one in all matters. They what affects the one affects the other. All right, let's keep going. Uh, Shemot, Exodus 20. This is where this is in the commandments. I'm gonna go here, verse 12, and just say, respect your father and your mother. Most of us respect our mothers more than our fathers because we have, this generation dealt with the absentee of fathers. Well, the mom's there because that's who you're born with. That's who, keeps you. And, father can just up and leave. No, there's basically a training of disrespect a lot of times towards the father. Oh, he ain't here. But you are supposed to acknowledge him. He's still in order first. So it says, respect your father and your mother so that your days are prolonged upon the soil, which Yahuwah your Elohim is giving you. But so often there's this change in the order where there's a respect towards the mother, but disrespect towards the father, as if this command does not have what? Conditions. What's the condition? So that your days are prolonged upon the soil. I get it. There's nothing wrong with honoring your mother, but when you disrespect your father and dishonor him, you still affect your days being prolonged on the soil. If you were to honor your father and disrespect your mom, you still affect your days being prolonged on the soil. All right, keeping it moving. Order of operations. Shemot, Exodus 4. Go ahead, what says verse 22, and it says, and Yahuwah said to Pharaoh, you should say to Pharaoh, excuse me, and see, I'm reading, I'm just putting some stuff out there. And you shall say to Pharaoh, thus said Yahuwah, Israel is my son, my firstborn. Order of operation. Not Adam, saying Israel is my son, my firstborn. Adam wasn't born. He was created. But Israel is his focus of his firstborn. Israel is a nation. Adam was a man created that had a woman in him. A woman was brought up out of him. Israel is a nation, but it's labeled as his firstborn son. Let's keep going. Corinthians, Aleph, or First Corinthians 15. It says here in verse 45, what's called verse 45. And so it has been written, the first man, Adam, became a living being. The last Adam is a life-giving ruach or spirit. Which one came first? Adam. The first Adam became a living being. The last Adam, a life-giving ruach. The spiritual, however, was not first, but the natural, and afterward the spiritual. The first man was of the earth, earthly. The second man is the master from heaven. As is the earthly, so also are those who are earthly. As is the heavenly, so are those who are heavenly. And as we have borne the likeness of the earthly, we shall also bear the likeness of the heavenly. And this I say, brothers, that flesh and blood is unable to inherit the reign of Elohim, neither does corruption inherit incorruption. See, I speak a secret to you. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible has to be put on incorruption, and this mortal put on immortality. This mortal to immortality. All right. Finishing off. Hmm. with this order of operations. Okay. Colossians 1 or Colosseum 1 and it says here in verse 8, and he is before all, and in him all behold together. And he is the head of the body, the assembly, who is the beginning, the firstborn of the dead, that he might become the one who is first in all, because in him all the completeness was well pleased to dwell. All right, let me close my screen, seeing myself. Just hitting some order of operations. One, when you're looking at the day, starts off dark, dawn, the day occurs, then evening, and then it ends when it reaches morning. So the whole period of night must occur. Not the start of night, which is evening, but the whole phase. The middle of night is midnight. Then it comes to morning, and that's the end of the day. Day starts. Man comes before woman. So man is head over woman. Does this mean that man is, I per se, some people say, oh, they're equal. Okay, I can acknowledge that many women are smarter than men. Okay, but that does not eliminate the order that Yah has set. Man is to rule over the woman. Woman is a helpmeet. What the man starts, the woman is there to help him finish. Does not mean that she will not come up with greater plans, but in the end, it's the man's responsibility to decide what way to be lead that they lead. When the woman has taken over that role, it's out of order. The man is basically submitted or he's renounced his throne to the woman. There's a problem. He's not heeding Yah. He's heeding that woman. You end up having Ahab, who was king, and Jezebel situation. The authority was all Ahab's, but Jezebel was the one wielding that authority. It's out of order. When it comes to Yahusha, yes, Yahusha is who we have over us, but Israel is the firstborn son. Yahusha is an Israelite, a Yahudim. He's the head person over that whole nation, but the whole nation is significant. Some people want to just have Yahusha, but a head decapitated from a body is what? That's a perversion. You have to have the head along with the body for it to be whole, for it to be one. Husband and wife, one, they cleave together. Separating them, or if they going separate, having separate visions, going different ways, that's not oneness. Yahusha being the head over Israel, if Israel is doing its own thing, that's not oneness. If you call yourself doing Christianity and that ain't what he folks you and directing you towards, pointing you towards the kingdom, and you establishing your own kingdom, you're not operating under your headship. You're not obeying your head. You're not following the order of operations. We got a lot of folks that want to be kings and don't want to sit up under the king. Yahuwah is the king, but yet he has established Yahusha as his image. The first Adam failed, so the second Adam is going to complete the task. It's Yahuwah's kingdom, but his prince, his son, is sitting on the earthly realm, headship. Adam was supposed to do it. He failed. So the second Adam will complete that task. Order of operations. How can he be the king of kings if Yahuwah himself is a king? Yeah, he's the king of kings on earth. We can limit it to that. But he has a king, and that's Yahuwah. Order of operations matter. We sometimes want to put the cart before the horse, and you know that doesn't work. If you put the horse behind the cart, there's no movement. Horses are made to pull, not push, or not to be pulled. The cart ain't moving on its own. It needs that horse in the front. You have to follow the order. So many things that, we ignore the order and we ignore the context. And so I was just dealing with some of that. I'm going to let this day, which is a day of rest, be that for those that have been listening. I thank you for your time. Abba Yah, thank you for this Shabbat. Thank you for this opportunity just to converse. May edification have occurred. May your will have been done. I thank you. And may I, if I was not humble, direct me, correct me, move me to be about your will moving forward. Thank you for this Shabbat. Thank you for this day of rest. Thank you for watching over this household, the Carter household. Your humble servant, Shanquil Yah, says Yada Yahuwah. One Vision Ministry, Echad, Chazan Sheriff, Shabbat Shalom.